Hey there. Just got my Arizona EZ-Fletch about 2 weeks ago. Done a couple hours with it so far, and I'm going to do a video today with you on how to use it. Very easy to use and solid piece of equipment for any archer who wants to fletch their own arrows. So you don't have to go to a pro shop every time, and over time ends up becoming a lot cheaper. This is just a pencil, put it in there when not in use. This is what it looks like. Basic design, nothing special. It's turn the brightness up a bit. Alright, there we go. It's the three fletches or blazers, which I'll be using blazers for. Very simple. You just push it in. It's spring loaded. Push it in, turn it, and then it closes all the tops up. And then you would put have the arrow in there, obvious, and then put the top on. That holds it shut. I mean, real simple. You just put the blazer in. This is the mini. They do have bigger ones. This only fits the blazers up to 2 1/4. These are 2-inch, so they fit. Bigger ones for the fletching is available. You just gotta look for them. They're just like the regular size. This is called a mini. Very simple to use. Alright, step one of using it is going to be choosing the arrow that you want to use. Now, this arrow has nothing wrong, but if you can see, let me turn the brightness down now. Closer again. Right there. You can see these are pretty straight. Not much bend to them. There's about maybe a degree. These, I just got these arrows. They're good. They're a little bit heavier, so I had to not really repaper tune, but I have to move the arrow rest over for them. But when I refletch them, they shoot without needing it as much. So I'm able to find like a happy medium between my lighter arrows and my heavier arrows. So your first step is going to be just to get the fletching off the arrow that you want to have done. Usually you would do this when the fletching rips or falls off, but I'm just going to do it because they shoot better. I'm going to take off the knock, just personal preference, find it a little bit easier, and you're just going to take a knife and then go down and cut them all off. And just nice and slow. And you're going to cut them off. Alright, so once you get to there, now you're going to, I need to change position a little bit because I find it easier when I come down from the top like this. But now you're just going to take the knife and you're just going to scrape and get it so it's perfectly flat. Alright, so when you're done, you think you got it, you're going to take it and just wipe off all the excess. And then you're going to feel, and you're just going to make sure that it's flat, because you want the blank to be as smooth as possible when putting them on. A little bit of bumps there, so let me get that. Alright, feels pretty good right there. Pretty smooth. Doesn't have to be super perfect. I mean, you want to get it as close to smooth as possible, but you don't have to have the smoothest thing in the world. Alright, so next I'm going to take it and I'm going to put the knock back on. With the EZ-Fletch system, there is a little piece inside of it, down in the middle, where you insert the arrow, that has a knock placement thing that grabs it, so you don't have to worry about messing that up. Get this lined up. Alright, so then you're just going to take the arrow Let me zoom out a bit. So you're going to take the arrow, and you're going to insert it into the EZ-Fletch, and then just stick the knock. Now it's in, and it won't be able to turn. If you want to try to match up your old spots, you can turn this. These knocks turn too easy, but if your knocks are a little bit stiffer to turn, you can turn, and it will turn the knock holder at the bottom to try to match it up. If not, you can always just turn it so you get it to where you like it. Oh, this does turn it. Some of these don't. And then I can just turn it to where, let's say I want it to kind of match up the old ones or something, I can turn it to get it to match up. Alright, so I mean, that's just if you want to match it up. Otherwise, you can always just turn the knock when it's done. Alright, so after that, you're then going to take all of the fletching that you're putting on. You're going to get that. I'm using the same veins that were on there, the Predator veins. As personal preference, I just like them better. A little bright, let me see. 2 inches. Really smooth and like the shape. Some others have like a little bit tougher of a thing. Like how this is like round. Some like kind of come up flat and then do the flip. Just personal preference again. Nothing really is going to make you choose one or the other. Alright, so now you're going to just take it. Lighter blue one is your knock vein. Really doesn't matter if they're doing all the same because they're all at the same angle. So your knock vein could be in any one, but it's just sets it up so it's easy to do. And you're just going to load all the veins in. Now that they're loaded, you're just going to add some glue. I'm using fletching adhesive from Bullseye Feathers. I got all this on eBay, so you can easily have access to all of these materials. Then you're just going to apply a thin bead of glue right down the back of each of the feathers, or blazers, feathers, whatever you want to use. And then once you get the glue on, just make sure it covers everywhere. Alright, so now I'm done applying the glue. You just make sure that you just want to do a second check, just make sure that they're all evenly coated and they all look good. Let me just add a little bit more to the white one. Alright, and then you just want to make sure that they're all sitting in it flat and at the bottom because you want it to match up as best as possible. But again, it doesn't have to be super perfect. I mean, once they get glued on, they're hopefully not going to come off. Alright, after that you're going to take the jig, you're just going to lift it up. And if you want to check, you got to make sure the arrow's in. And then you're just going to push it up, how it's spring loaded. You're going to push it up, turn it, and then slowly let it close. And that should close them up pretty perfect. You might have to move one or two. And then you're going to take the cap, stick it over the top of the arrow, and push it down. Now that will match up with the lines that is built in to it, like there, there, and there, with those lines on the cap. You're just going to push that so it's tight. For drying, I like to let mine hang from the ceiling. As you can see, the little hook that's there. I like to just let it hang. There's a little knot thing in it. Doesn't really say anything in the instructions that I've read about any way to do it specifically. I mean, you can just have it sit standing up. I like to let it hang. And you're going to let that hang for about 2 to 3 minutes. Don't want to let it go much more. If you let it go longer, the glue gets pushed out from being squished on. You get like clumps that come out and then it dries in that weird shape. Otherwise, you can get it out, brush it with your finger to brush the excess off. If you're doing feathers, I know it says like 10 minutes, but since I'm doing blazers, we only have to wait around 2 to 3 minutes. So it's been about 3 minutes now. Of course, it's only been about, I don't know, 30 seconds for you guys, but very boring, I know. But we get to take it down, and we're gonna go take it back to the table and open it up. All right, so we're back at the table now. We're going to just open it up. Should be pretty dry. I mean, the blazers are definitely going to be stuffed. We're going to take the top off, and then you're just going to take the bottom again and push it up, and then turn it. Now, these may be glued, the arms of the system. They may be glued, so you're just going to have to grab and pull. You don't have to worry about anything. I mean, they come off fairly easy. And just take them off. You're just going to pull the arrow out nice and slow. Alright, so the system, what you can do now is you can go in and just wipe it up with warm water, just to try to get the wet glue that's in there out. I mean, there's a little that's in there. But you can just leave it and then scrape it off, or it says use an acetone bath to clean it. So what I was talking about earlier, when only leaving on so long, what you have is the glue gets pushed out, and you'll end up having like excess. And if you leave it on there, it keeps like pushing out and then curls around like the arms of this, and then like you have weird shapes coming up off the fletching part. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to take my finger and wipe it down the insides to wipe away the excess. Alright, and then I'm going to go same thing, other side, just to wipe off the excess there. This just, you don't have to do this. This is just something I found after doing a couple hours so far that helps a lot, and just makes it look nicer. This glue dries like a white, so it's not a clear drying glue, so the better I can make it look, it's just aesthetics, but the better I can make it look, the happier I am with it. Then what you do is, now you can see that there is a increased amount of spin on the arrows. Let me see if I can get the focus here. Yeah, there's a clear increased amount of spin compared to what it was. I mean, these are turned a decent amount, and if you look at it from this side, you can see that they are going to turn like crazy. Now, the only problem with this is, if you saw the arrow rest I had on my bow, it's the hostage release. And the way that does is, it's like a whisker biscuit, but only does the top and the two sides. So anything besides those, you'd be fine. With this, though, the only problem is you have to get the knock to match up perfect so it goes through. But I haven't had a problem with it yet, and I have to say that it helps a lot with arrow flight. They just fly so much more consistent. System is really easy to use. Like I said, you can just wipe off the wet glue, scrape it off later. Just don't want to damage it, or you can give it the acetone bath like it says. Real easy to use, and when you're done, just make sure you take a broken piece of arrow or a pencil like I use and put it back into the system and let it close, just so that the arms don't press in and get damaged or anything like that. And you're just going to lock it back down, and you're done. And that's the Arizona EZ-Fletch.